We're going from darkness to the light. Does anybody know what the light represents? Darkness to light? Does anybody know? Does anybody know what that is? Consciousness, the sun, awakening, illumination. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a great start. Well, darkness represents things. Darkness represents the mind state when you're in ignorance, because who remembers before you awoken? Do you remember? Who here remembers when you were basically an NPC like my old self? Do you remember that mind state that you're in? How everything was just, dull. You didn't question reality. You never questioned anything. That is what we call darkness. 2012 awakened. Beautiful. Amazing. So, darkness represents when we're in a state of darkness where we cannot perceive truth because our mind is locked in limiting belief systems. So that darkness and the light represents clarity. It means the darkness represents you cannot see something, you cannot see truth. But light represents truth, because when you shine a light on something, it reveals its essence, its truth, right? It's also symbolic, right? I'm going to be going a little bit deep here. We have, if we go to the black and white Jachin and Boaz here, right? This is on the tarot card. These two pillars also represent the two pillars of the mind. The black pillar, Boaz, represents the subconscious mind. And the white pillar, Jachin, represents the conscious mind. So we're traveling from darkness to light, right? It's symbolic of turning the unconscious conscious. Now, Carl Jung talks about this. Turning the unconscious conscious, meaning we all here have unconscious programs which control 90% of our actions. There are unconscious desires inside of us that we're always trying to fulfill. If we remain unconscious of them, meaning do not pay any attention to the if we don't pay any attention to our unconscious desires and belief systems, they will secretly control our life. So going from darkness to light is symbolic of becoming conscious of the unconscious mind, turning the hidden parts of ourselves that are secretly controlling our thoughts and actions into conscious, so we can actually seek to gain full control over our mind. Because when your consciousness only operates from a state of unconsciousness, meaning we're not really using the conscious mind, we're just living on autopilot. That was kind of like me before I awoken, and I'm sure some of you here can agree on that. Before you awoken, we lived on autopilot. We woke up, we did the same things, same thoughts, same actions all day. We never really used our conscious mind to think. And that's what TikTok programs you to do, Instagram programs you to do, become an autopilot NPC pretty much, right? So, turning the unconscious conscious is symbolic of becoming aware of the hidden parts of us that are seeking to control us, the hidden desires, the hidden thoughts that are trying to, that pretty much create our reality, right? Take, for example, posting on social media. You have to question yourself. When it comes to posting on social media. Like, are you doing it for yourself, or are you genuinely be doing it for yourself, or are you subconsciously trying to seek validation? if you don't become conscious of that, you won't progress. Okay, now that's me being brutally honest. I'm not here to, gaslight anything. I'm being brutally honest. You have to go deep within yourself and see what's actually controlling you. Are you seeking validation from others unconsciously? And you have to be deeply honest with yourself and heal these wounds inside of us. Okay? Or else they will secretly control our life. And that's what it means by becoming conscious of the unconscious. Are you genuinely trying to help people, or are you trying to gain something from them? We have to purify our unconscious mind, right? So, I'm not trying to break anyone down here, but that's what it means. It's about being brutally honest with yourself and seeing what needs healing inside you. So this middle path has been talked about for centuries. Talked about for centuries. Okay, what's that? The middle path is symbolic of gaining balance between the left and right pillars of life. When you see someone in the middle here, it's symbolic of building the middle pillar, because you are the middle pillar in Freemasonry. You are the middle pillar, balancing the inner and the outer, the conscious, the unconscious, the mind and the heart. These are all dualities that we have to balance. Because the checkerboard floor represents duality, and the person in the middle represents the balance between duality. This means balancing mind and body. This means balancing left brain, right brain. This means balancing mind and heart. The person in the middle, symbolic of gaining balance out of opposites, rising off the checkerboard floor towards the light. Okay. The person in the middle is George Washington. Yes, George Washington was a Freemason. Okay. So, you see this apron? The Masons wear this apron. Well, why is it that they use this apron? Does anybody know why? Where it comes from? Does anybody know where this comes from? It's a square, yeah, very, very well said. It's a square representing the lower nature. When they built things, yes, very well said. So, the reason where this comes from is symbolic of stonemasonry. Stonemasons used to chip away at stones, so they wore aprons to protect their lower parts of the body from chipping stones and stones flying at them. So in Masonry, it's symbolic. So if you notice inside Masonry, they have these tools, right? The tools are symbolic, and so is Masonry. Masonry gives you the allegory that you are a stonemason, meaning that the stonemason is you, and you are chipping away the stone. But what is the stone? Let me know in the comments. What is the stone? What is it an allegory of? So the reason why Masonry uses allegory is to teach you to decipher allegories, to make you use your mind, yourself. Yes, exactly. So the stone you're chiseling in Masonry is yourself, is your own mind. It's the mind we're working on. Why? Because the mind is the temple for the observer, the part of you that listens to thoughts, observes feelings, feels feelings, sees the reality. So that is the soul, the divine presence of God inside of you, the observer of your thoughts, the observer of your feelings, the part of you that is detached from ego, detached from thought, pure consciousness itself. That's God. So the mind is the temple for the observer. And the Masons use this apron to symbolize chiseling away at the rock, which is the mind. So the reason they wear this apron is to remind themselves to chisel away at their mind. And here, if you notice, your body is a reflection of the higher and lower self. Yes, interesting placement. It is, yeah, it is very interesting. So the lower self, think of your body as a living organism, and every organ is an organism. That's where we get the word organ from. Organs are organisms, meaning each organ in your body possesses its own mind, its own ability to express energy and consciousness. Okay? So every organ is an organism possessing mind and thinking abilities to express different forms of life, energy, and duties in your body. Meaning, the duty of your gut, the intelligence and the mind of your gut, is to digest food and make sure your body survives with vitality. The duty and the mind of your genital area is to reproduce humans on the earth. So when we are hungry, we're thinking with the intelligence of the gut. When we're aroused, we're thinking with the intelligence and the mind of the organs of the reproductive system. So in occultism, they teach you that your body acts out different forces with each organ. They act out different ways of thinking, different ways of expressing consciousness, pretty much, right? So the stomach is a part of the lower self. It is, yes, it's a part of the survival mechanism of the body. So you have to realize we have two natures as a human being. You have two natures. Unlike an animal, you possess something more powerful than an animal, which is the ability to create and mold a reality consciously to your will. Animals don't really have that, okay? Animals possess a one-way consciousness. A one-way consciousness. What does that mean? Animals possess a one-way consciousness, meaning they cannot self-reflect on themselves. Take, for example, if you feed a dog, it will just keep eating. It will never realize it's overweight. It will never realize it needs to better itself. It's just purely survival, right? Pure survival instincts. Humans, however, possess a two-way consciousness, meaning we can look in the mirror and basically say, I need to better myself here. I need to do this. I need to be better. We can self-reflect. We can question who we are, where we are, what we're doing here, and figure this stuff out. So humans have a lower nature and a divine nature, meaning the ability to shape reality and the ability to survive. Most people, like my old self, was stuck in this low state. Like, I'm not going to be mean, I don't want to sound mean, but 80% of the world is stuck in the low state of consciousness, in their animal nature. Meaning they only think and express the power of thought through their lower centers and organs in the body. Most people only think with their genital area, their gut, and their solar plexus. What do I mean? Well, think about it, right? What do most people chase in this world? Money, sex, and power. Right? I wouldn't be wrong. And I'm not going to lie, that would be my old self. My old self was like that before I went on this journey. Money, sex, and power. Well, that thought energy, that psychic energy is expressed through the organisms of the lower half of the body. The root chakra, I don't like saying the word chakra, they're simply just where thought energy and psychic energy expresses in the body. Okay? They're spinning vortexes where psychic energy expresses, or life force energy expresses. Most people are stuck in their survival centers, meaning their whole reality is chasing desire, chasing, sex and money and power. Only using the lower self, the lower half of the body. Now, this is why in occultism, this is why sacrifices are so important. Everything in the world, in occultism, they teach you everything requires sacrifice. You right now are sacrificing your time to watch this. Everything is sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice something to gain something else. That's life. In order to have a relationship, you have to sacrifice your time. In order to have anything, you have to sacrifice. Everything requires a sacrifice in life. So like I've just explained, how most people, their psychic thought force, which is what thoughts are, they're the force of the soul. What is the soul? The soul is the observer, pure consciousness itself. Most people's thought force are only manifested in the lower halves of the body. In their genital area, thinking about lust, in their gut, thinking about food, and their solar plexus, thinking about power. Meaning that their creative nature is locked behind this thought force, because we can only think a certain amount of things, right? We only have a certain amount of ability to think on one thing at a time. So most people's thought force is manifesting energy and expressing energy through the lower halves of the body. So the reason why Masons wear this is to represent gaining control over the lower thought forces of our lower nature, because everything, like I just said, requires sacrifice. Sacrifice is everything. You're sacrificing time to watch TikTok. Same thing. If you want to achieve a level of consciousness where it is operating with the higher psychic centers, such as the brain, the heart, and the throat, if you want to achieve that consciousness of using thought force but expressed in a higher way, we have to master our lower desire, meaning we dissolve and sacrifice our lower self. This is why in religions, every occult society, every religion has some story of sacrifice, because this is what it represents. Sacrificing the lower nature towards the higher psychic centers. So thought can be expressed in a higher way. Instead of using thought to be expressed in the lower forces, we can use we can sacrifice them, dissolve the desires for sex, money, and power, and the same force of thoughts can be used for higher reasons, for creation. I hope that makes sense, everyone. Does that make sense? Are you a Mason? I'm not, no. So everything in the universe is thought. Thought is the most powerful force in the universe. Look around you. Look around you. Everything. Everything, now it's a physical reality. Apple thought this product, and now it's a physical reality. It is the most powerful force in the universe. However, it can be expressed in lower forms, such as desire, sex, lust, and power, right? So when we master the lower thought forces, such as them, we can use the same power of thought, however, in a higher expression, such for creation, for intuition, and for love. That's what the sacrifice is about, sacrificing the lower to the higher. Now, I'm going to show you something very interesting. Now that you understand that lesson, of the psychic centers of thought being used for higher and lower reasons, go and look at the ancients. They're showing you the exact same thing. Now, this is a 1,000-year-old temple. This is the 1,000-year-old temple. Probably worse, probably way older. You have a human killing his animal nature, symbolizing destroying the lower thought force, destroying the lower thoughts to the higher thoughts. Again, you have your two pillars of Freemasonry. You have the mind and body. Mind, body. The whole matrix is designed to use your thought force on the lower forms, meaning they only want you thinking about sex, money, and power, because that's what keeps consciousness on a low level. Thought power on a low form. So Masons wear this as a reminder to gain control over their lower mind, their lower thought forces. Right? Does that make sense, everybody? Can we now move on from that? Okay, perfect. Here it is. That's the stone the Masons chisel. That stone is your mind, because remember, the divine spark of God is the observer of the mind. There is a part of you that doesn't think, it just simply observes. It's the life force. That's the soul, pure awareness. The soul lives inside of the temple, which is let me know in the comments, what is the temple? Where does the soul, the observer consciousness, live in? Let's see if people have been listening. The mind, exactly. Exactly. The soul is the observer living in the mind, and the mind lives inside the body. So the mind is the divine temple of God, right? That's why the side of your head is called a temple. The side of your head in English is called a temple. When you get hit in the temple, you get knocked out, right? The side of your head's called a temple because the mind is the temple of the divine presence, which is the observer, the part of you that listens to thoughts, feels the feelings, and observes everything. So the temple they're trying to build in Masonry is the mind. That's the Temple of Solomon. Okay? That's the Temple of Solomon. It's the divine presence. So, this is the hammer, the Masonic hammer, symbolizing force. Force. Now, everything in life has two opposites, right? We all know that. Force and what? Form. Formation. What is formation? Formation is anything material. An action is a formation. This is a form. Form. This is all form. But what created the form? Force. What is the force? Desire. Desire forces form. Matter responds to force. Okay? So everything you see outside of you right now, your phone, the chair you're sat on, your bed, wherever you are in the world, look around. Everything is formation, form. But what created the form? There was a force. There was a desire, a spiritual force in someone's mind that was acted out to create the form. That's the hammer. So you have to find out and question yourself, what is your hammer in life? What is your force? What gets you up in the morning? What gets you up? What makes you take physical actions to generate the force and form? Another way they symbolize that is very interesting. Here. What's your purpose? Yes, exactly. What is it that gets you up in the morning? For example, me, what gets me up in the morning is to take action and help people awaken to their divine nature, help people understand their mind, help people understand consciousness, help people understand themselves. I want to help people, awaken them. That's my force, my desire to help humanity, to help people understand their psyche, to help people understand their reality, how they construct their reality, right? That's my force. That's what makes me take action. That's my purpose. You have to find a force in your life that is your tool that you can use. Okay, so another way they symbolize force and form is inside their Masonic paintings. Light, force, because this represents something that is immaterial. Light is not material. It is spiritual. It's spiritual, right? It's not tangible. So force is something that forces, desire, thoughts, they're forces, right? Form, physical world. You see down here, people taking action. Force, form. Why? Higher and the lower. As above, so below. As above, so below. What you inside of you is above, because inside of you is the mind and emotions. They're higher dimensions of consciousness. They're higher vehicles of consciousness. That's where psychic energy manifests. Then the physical body is where the psychic energy gets expressed through form, force and form. As above, so below. What you desire is what you act. Desire in the mind gets created in the world, outside the mind. This is what we call as above, so below. You control your desires, you control your actions. What is your force? Is this starting to make sense, everybody? Are you starting to see how these are basically what symbolism is, people? Okay? Most people, we have to remember symbolism has been heavily demonized for thousands of years by the Christian church. Why? Because symbolism unlocks how you use the tools of consciousness. They don't want you knowing how to use consciousness. Why? Because they don't want you knowing you are an active co-creator of reality. You're not in a world, you are the world, shaping a world. You're creating a world, you are a miniature world. You're not in a world, you are it. You are not life, sorry. You don't have a life, you are life. You're not inside of a universe, you are the universe experiencing itself. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense, everybody? The force and form, right? Let's move on. What book is this? This book, it's the book that I've wrote. It's called Book of Symbolism. We finally hit, well, not finally, for the past few weeks, it's been bestseller on Amazon, which is beautiful. You know, I appreciate you all. Book of Symbolism. Anyways, hi, where are you from? I'm from the UK, United Kingdom. That's the name of the book. It's the book that I've written myself. Book of Symbolism. Anyways, does this start to make sense, people, that all the symbolism that they've demonized is demonized on purpose so we don't awaken our true powers? And now that sounds a bit conspiracy theory, I know, I understand, but that is the truth. They don't want us understanding our powers. Or not understanding, that's not the correct word. It would be becoming conscious. Because anything I'm teaching you right now, you already subconsciously know. You already know you think, feel, and act. But it's just about becoming conscious of these forces that are driving your actions, right? And that's what symbolism does. It's like a tool to make you become more conscious. So this is one of the most heavily demonized symbols in the world. This is one of the most heavily demonized symbols in the world. People think this is Satan. People think this is Lucifer. People think this is all sorts. Because it's also one of the most powerful teachings in the world. Okay? This is how we think, the mental vehicle of consciousness. Psychic thought gets turned into emotion, desire, and desire gets turned into action. We think, we feel, we act. If you think about something negative in your life, what happens? What happens? If you think about something bad, you feel bad. What happens? Your body starts to take action and crying. You think, you feel, you act. The body acts out the forces of the higher worlds. Okay? So what this is teaching us, this symbol is teaching us to unify our thought, emotion, and action. Meaning, most people have, like my old self, I was very divided in consciousness before I learned these teachings, right? That's why I wrote about them, to make people aware of this. Many people operate in what is called in occultism, divided consciousness. Many people unknowingly operate what is called divided consciousness, a state where the three creative forces of thought, emotion, and action are out of sync. The mind may generate powerful idea, the heart may feel something entirely different, and the body may carry out actions that have nothing to do with either. Right? So, take for example, you want to build a business, you have an idea to create a business, your feelings feel like you're hungry, and your body's scrolling on TikTok. That's divided consciousness. Okay? And this is also the observer consciousness, the part of you that listens to the thoughts, the true you, the observer, hears the thoughts, feels the feelings, observing the mind, emotions, and the body. So what we need to do is unify our thought, emotion, and action all towards one goal. And that's how you manifest intentionally and efficiently, without scattered energy. For example, where were we? The thought points in one direction, the emotion begins to stir movement, but the action moves elsewhere. In this state, no real creation occurs, the energy is divided, and the forces of consciousness are not unified. Therefore, the power to manifest remains dormant. That's what divided consciousness is, right? So that's what the checkerboard is. It's about divided low consciousness. Anyways, let's carry on. What other symbols do I want to go through? We have so many occult symbols in Masonry in this book. What else? Okay, the pentagram. It's the same teaching, pretty much, the pentagram, but in a different way. Here. When you draw a pentagram, it's one continuous line. Meaning it's one expressed in 5. The pentagram reveals how the energy inside the soul goes through the psyche and then into the physical body. Now that sounds crazy, I know, but it's truth. Listen. Spirit represents the soul, the part of us that is pure observation or willpower. The inspiration. Everything comes out of spirit. So just before you think, there is a subtle movement in your consciousness, a subtle movement, and then the thought pops up in your head. So everything emanates out of the nothingness into fire, which represents willpower. Willpower turns into air, which is thought, mind. Thought turns into water, which is emotion, desire. Desire goes to earth, which is physical action. So this is how energy moves from the soul through the psyche into the body to take action. That's what the pentagram truly is, people. And that's why it's associated with magic. And this is why the church was going around killing thousands of witches, calling them witches, because they were practicing conscious creation of their reality. The church don't want that. They want followers. They don't want creators and leaders. Right? The boat and anchor. Looks like a boring symbol, but it's very powerful. The anchor is the part of us that doesn't change. We need to anchor our identity in the awareness. The boat represents the body and the things that change in life. Okay? So we don't want to identify with the body, the mind, the emotions. Why? Because they're in constant waves of change. They're always changing. If we identify with our thoughts, we lose ourselves. If we identify with the other things changing outside of us, we lose ourselves. But when we remained anchored to pure awareness, beyond thoughts, beyond emotions, we see thoughts and emotions as tools and not reactions to reality. We don't want to react to reality. We want to consciously create it and use the mind and emotions as tools for creation and not reactions. So it's about anchoring yourself in pure awareness, anchoring yourself in something that is unchanging, the soul. The soul is unchanging, the observer that lives in your mind. Anyways, is God evil? God is the unmanifest, which is observer, the observer consciousness. It's perfect, all-knowing, all-seeing. Right. I am, yes, the I am. Yeah, very well said. Very well said. The monad, yeah. Where can I get that book? Okay, a lot of people waiting. Are people asking for the book? How many likes have we got? 100,000 likes. That's crazy. I appreciate you. Are people wishing to get the book? Who here has read the book? Has anyone else read the book? Let me, if you've read it, let me know what you think. Did it change your life? How did it make you feel? I'm sure most of you here have already read it. I did. How did you find it? Just got mine and love it. You're changing my life by sharing knowledge. Thank you. Appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Mine came today. Beautiful. Yes, it's really good. Amazing. Life-changing book. Love it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So intriguing. Amazing. Yes, absolutely. Amazing, Hector. I'm glad you're all enjoying it. It's life-changing information. Enlightening yourself. Beautiful. Beautiful. Ancient knowledge. It is. It's... I don't like, it's a great comment what you said, by the way, but it's more remembering. It's just remembering things about ourselves. So who here, if you want, I will create best thing I've ever brought. Wow. Thank you. Wow. In Spanish too. Yeah, we've got English, Spanish, German, Italian, French, every language. Do you want me to create a code so people can save, some money on it? It has changed my life and others around me. Beautiful. I can create a code so you can save some money on it to give you the chance to get it. Very interesting. Thank you. It really makes sense. Amazing. I'm glad. Yes. Okay. So let me know in the comments. Do you want a code? If you want a code, I'll create a code. Does it talk about Hermeticism? A little bit. Towards the end, yes. So just before I give you the code, it comes with 2 books. So when you order the paperback, it comes with a free PDF, and that PDF is a separate book that teaches you how to create reality, your dream reality, whatever you want in life, using the power of consciousness, how to direct consciousness in that way to create your dream reality. So it's basically 2 books. So you get that via email, and this comes in the post. So while you wait for this book, you get a free book to read. So the way you order it is you click my profile, you go to my bio, and you click books, or it takes you to revivalofwisdom.com. So I'm going to give 15 codes away. There's 790 people in here. The book name is Book of Symbolism, English, French, Italian, Spanish, and the free book comes with everything. Do you ship to Poland? We ship everywhere in the world pretty much, just other than the places that are, during war and stuff. So 15 people, I'm going to be revealing it in a second. 15 people can use it. 15. So you're going to have to be fast. 15 people can use code 333 at the checkout. And it's going to save you today. I'm going to do the last time I do this, because I keep taking the hit. 40%. 40%. 333. No, I've been doing 40% for a while, so I'm going to have to take it down after this one. So 15 people can use that.